to sit up front when you do your video. You can go now if you want.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's
Let 6 get the mic up here and then we'll go.
Did we turn that
Is it okay if I mention Rusty's going to
Good to go. Well, we'll begin, and let me welcome everyone, and thank you for coming this morning. I'm Cal Morgan, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Michigan Humane Society, and we're very happy to have an opportunity to encourage state lawmakers today to take an important step forward on behalf of animals in Michigan with the passage of the Puppy Protection Act. This important piece of legislation will crack down on large-scale commercial breeders, often referred to as puppy mills, and ensure that dogs in these facilities are treated humanely. This act establishes strict guidelines for critical issues such as housing, sanitary conditions, enclosure space, exercise, and veterinary care of dogs that are used for breeding, many of them spending their entire lives in a breeding facility. It will also place an upper limit on the number of dogs that may be housed in any one facility. We're doing this because far too often we at the Humane Society see animals that come to us that are animals that are rejected, that are not adequately taken care of in these facilities. And this is a significant problem in many states and also in selected parts of our state. I'd like to certainly thank our bill sponsors here today for taking time out of their schedules to be with us. I'd like to thank Representative Vicki Barnett, Senator Steve Vita, Senator Rick Jones for their bipartisan effort on putting this together. We have had lots of groups that have supported this already. Michigan Association of Animal Control Officers, their president Terry McKillop is here, the Michigan Veterinary Medical Association, and Puppy Mill Awareness, a Michigan-based advocacy group that's done tremendous work in bringing this issue to light over the last several years, and their founder James Soto is here as well. We've worked for about 2 years with different groups around the state to build a collaboration on this issue. We have talked with purebred dog clubs, we've talked with animal control agencies, with veterinarians, with government officials, and literally hundreds of dog breeders and fanciers to gain their input, help us in crafting this legislation. We just want to make a couple notes, and then I'm going to let the sponsors speak, but this is really aimed at breeders who house large numbers of dogs in their facilities. This is not at all targeted to those hobby breeders and small individual breeders who want to do this as a hobby. It is not at all directed towards hunting or other types of sporting dog operations. It's really at those large-scale breeding operations that are targeting the sale of dogs and cats, primarily to pet stores and other channels. We have a really special guest in addition to our sponsors today, and he's to my left here. This is Rusty. Rusty is Rusty. Yes, not this Rusty. This Rusty. You're not Rusty. He is a 1-year-old Maltese poodle mix, and he came to Michigan Humane Society after his owner was no longer able to keep him. And this is the kind of dog that you would find in many of the puppy mill operations around the country. And these dogs are highly desirable for sale, both on the internet and through pet stores, and they're often kept in tremendously unsanitary, unhealthy conditions. And Rusty has been nursed back to health at the Michigan Humane Society. He's going home to a happy home. Actually, we think maybe even later today, and we can talk about that at another press event. So just one final point. 7 other states have passed legislation of this type in order to put regulations on large-scale breeding operations. What we don't want to do is leave this issue undealt with in the state of Michigan and perhaps become a magnet for these large-scale breeding operations. So this is also a preventive bill in a lot of ways. So let me, without further delay, introduce our good friend, Senator or State Representative Vicki Barnett. She has been behind us with this bill right from the minute that we said, hey, we need to start talking about this issue. And Vicki, we can express our appreciation now for
Thank
your
you.
support. Please.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm a dog owner, so anyone who's had the opportunity to have a friendship with another species really understands what this bill is about. So thank you, Cal. I'm really proud to be standing here as one of the sponsors of the Puppy Protection Act and appreciate the support of the Michigan Humane Society and all of the other groups who have stepped up to support us and to support the animals of this great state. Under this legislation, the people in Michigan purchasing dogs and puppies will be ensured that this puppy was born to a good family, in a nice home, or in an operation where the animals were cared for and were properly taken care of. Just as Cal mentioned, neighboring states have already adopted such legislation to ban large-scale breeding puppy mills. And I want to point out, we're talking about puppy mills where animals are in stacked cages, one on top of the other. We're not talking about many of the good large-scale breeders, which we want to regulate, that have great care for their animals, where they're not stacked, where the animals have running room and playtime and really get the exercise to be the dogs that they are and are not overbred. So we're talking about very specific animal breeding operations that we want to regulate, and we want to prevent those unhealthy conditions from being moved out of other states into Michigan. And these bills will protect animals without hurting those responsible breeders. And they've been developed with the support of an extensive network of those interested in animal issues in Michigan. It's been said that a society is judged by the way animals are treated. Michigan must step up to the plate to ensure that the animals in Michigan receive fair and humane treatment under all circumstances. And this is a move in the right direction, and I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues and be part of it. Thank you, and thank you, Cal.
Thank you. Representative Barnett. Words well spoken. We appreciate your support as always. Another great supporter who's here today is Senator Rick Jones.
Thank you all for coming. You know, what this package of bills does is really protect the consumer. This is not an agricultural crop.
He's referring to Rusty.
This is not an animal that's going to be consumed as food. This is a companion animal. Therefore, it's extremely responsible to properly raise puppies, because if we don't, we have the tragedy of a family paying a great deal of money for a puppy, and then they have a dog with behavioral problems, psychological problems brought on by the abuse that they were raised in. As a former sheriff who ran an animal control unit, I have personally seen abuse of animals in Eaton County. This is an important consumer protection. We hope we can pass this and make sure that Michigan does not have puppy mills. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator, and words again well spoken. Well, we've pointed him out several times already this morning. Not Rusty, but Senator Steve beat us. Steve.
Thank you. Thank you, and I want to commend my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for their leadership on this issue. It's an important issue impacting not only the companion animals or pets, but the pet lovers across the state. And I think it's an important step forward. I look forward to the passage of these bills, and looking forward to working with my colleagues as we pass this. You know, I'm holding Rusty over here, and he's getting a little bored with our talk, but you know, it's hard to look at such a beautiful animal and realize just what suffering goes on across the state and across this nation in some respects because of some bad actors in the pet field. And while I like to think that most people that are breeding dogs do it because they love dogs, they are committed to animals' welfare. Unfortunately, there's some bad actors out there, and Rusty doesn't have a voice, neither does his little furry colleagues out there, but it's important for us to step forward and ensure that they're taken care of. With that, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today and look forward to the passage of these bills and look forward to working with my good colleagues on both sides of the aisle as this goes forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the other types of organizations that is often affected by these kinds of problems are animal control organizations in communities all over our state. Not only in humane societies, but animal control units often end up being the dumping places for these animals that are problematic, that are unadoptable or unsaleable by these breeders. So we reached out early in this conversation to the Michigan Association of Animal Control Officers to get their input, help us better craft the language in this legislation, because they are really charged with enforcing these regulations. So we're really pleased to have the president of the Michigan Animal Control Association, Mr. Terry McKillop here. So Terry.
Thanks, Cal. First, I'd like to say that Michigan Animal Control Association is very pleased, and would like to thank the lawmakers for this important legislation. The Puppy Protection Act will give law enforcement the tools they need to investigate potential cases, animal abuse, neglect, large-scale kennels, and breeders, and keep the bad actors, like I've heard before, out of this community, out of the communities. Michigan must not become a haven for puppy mills. These tools will help us protect the public and animals for unscrupulous individuals who make their money treating dogs and puppies inhumanely. I've been an animal control officer myself for 23 years. I run an animal shelter. I've been charged with helping other municipalities with large-scale breeders, basically puppy mills, over the years. I can tell you it's hideous. We've not had tools to do so. They've fallen through the cracks. They've tried to come under the old kennel laws in the state, which are not set to deal with these type breeders or these type of people. All I can tell you is it's hideous. No one wins on this. The animals do not win. They're kept in conditions that are hideous. Some of these pictures up here tell you. As of last week, I was asked to, by a neighboring county, to get involved in a large-scale breeder that has slipped through the crack over the years. He's gone from one county to another county that has no animal control or any other type of enforcement. They're unaware of what to do because they're not capable of doing so. There's 169 animals on this property, 120 plus breeders. It's a bad situation. With this type of legislation, it spells out what needs to be done. The tools are there for us, and we'll be able to enforce it. So this is long overdue, and I appreciate the legislators for doing so. Thank you.
Terry, thank you. That's an important perspective, as we said earlier. Our final speaker this morning is someone who is a private citizen of our state who has passionately pursued this issue for a number of years on her own, working hard with a group of volunteers to bring this issue more to light in our state. And she has been instrumental in helping us better understand the scope and the depth and the breadth of these problems in Michigan. And I'm really happy to have Pam Sortel from Puppy Mill Awareness here to say a few words as well. Pam, welcome.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning.
Sure.
This is Gorgeous. For the past 5 years, she's lived with over 130 dogs in a kennel hidden in the woods up north. Although she has a name, she doesn't have much else. Minimal food, water, and a doorless carrier to live in. In the winter, her kennel floor becomes ice, which is painful for her to walk on. In the summer, she has no shade. This is unacceptable. As a founder of Puppy Mill Awareness of Southeast Michigan, I've committed my time to helping breeding dogs just like Gorgeous. I'm certainly not alone. Puppy Mill Awareness has grown to over 400 members and has actively been working to end the mass production of commercial breeding here in Michigan and in other states. We organize pet store protests every weekend, set up information booths, leaflet, circulate petitions, and basically set up roadblocks for puppy peddlers. These grassroots efforts are making a difference, and we are anxiously awaiting pet stores to go humane and do adoption events only. To support the Puppy Protection Act, we completed a kennel study including 2,000 licensed kennels covering all counties in Michigan. Approximately 230 kennels would fall under this law. This would ensure that kennels that individually license their dogs, rather than getting a kennel license, and it would ensure that they would get licensed and have annual inspections. Some large-scale kennel operators have moved to counties with no animal control and understaffed police avoiding all inspections and enforcement. This will close the loophole and won't leave a county for them to hide in. We are not a big puppy mill state. In fact, we only have 4 USDA licensed commercial kennels and 21 county licensed kennels with over 50 dogs. However, we are a Midwest state, very close to the puppy mill belt, sharing borders with states that have over 100 commercially licensed breeders. This bill will help ensure kennels do not migrate to Michigan as they're implementing laws in other states. Just because we do not have a high concentration of mega mills or commercial breeders, we do have our fair share of problems. Even the USDA licensed kennels have serious repeat violations. These photos right here, these are real dogs from puppy mills right here in Michigan, licensed by the USDA that gave their stamp of approval. This bulldog lives in a barrel on wire floors. This dog on the other side, same USDA licensed kennel, was found with inflammations and no veterinary care. Under the Puppy Protection Act, this kennel would need to make some changes. They need to reduce their dogs from 85 to 50, provide solid floors, provide exercise, seek vet care, and provide rest between cycles and have unstacked cages. We feel this is no way to treat man's best friend. We think dogs deserve better. We think dogs deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and kindness. Dogs do not want bigger, cleaner cages. They want a family to love them. Regulation will help, but we also need the public to ensure need the public to help us end the puppy pet trade. We are asking the public to avoid contributing to cruelty by choosing adoption as the first option and visit your local shelter. Thank you.
We recognize legislators have session this morning, so we will open the floor for a moment or two for any questions anyone might have this morning of any legislators.
What does the law change anything about the puppies that are bred? Because as I understand it, it only covers the breeding dogs, correct? Or does it also cover regulations on how the puppies that are bred are kept as well?
In terms of the puppies that would be sold eventually?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I understand the language as we put it together, there would be specific requirements that those animals would fall within the confines of these regulations. So they would have to have the things that Pam was talking about. Every single one of them would have to be provided with that adequate care. Any other questions?
I just want to point out.
Please.
The problem is not so much on the selling side, it's on the breeding and caring for the animal side, and that's what we really need to control. You cannot adequately take care of hundreds of dogs on your property and treat them all with respect and make sure that they're all healthy and that they're well exercised and all well fed and they're in good, clean conditions. This bill addresses those problems, and that's what we're trying to address, that people who are responsible breeders will not have a problem at all with these bills. It's the irresponsible breeders and the bad actors that we're trying to keep out of our state and trying to control and make sure that those are the ones that go out of business.
Well said, absolutely. Any other questions? If not, thank you for coming, and again, thank you to our sponsors today for being here, and let's get this thing passed. Thank you very much.